Are the Magic actually finding some offense? No, probably not. But they're a little bit better. We'll deal with that today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is March 23rd. It will be March 24th. It's probably March 24th already, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, some deep-seated questions that don't really relate to each other, but we're going to get to all of them. Have the Magic actually found some offensive rhythm? Where is Jonathan Isaac? And why the Magic have to reestablish home court to get what they want. We're going to get to all that coming up in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. There's no pretending, there's no denying, there's no ignoring. The Orlando Magic season has fallen so far off the rails for a number of reasons, but as much as injuries are a huge part of it, a big part of it is the Magic have been unable to find any offense. Even when their defense was at its best, and the defense is far from its best right now, even when the Magic's defense was at its best, there were games where the offense was just so bad, or the offense couldn't make enough shots that they couldn't keep up, that the defense would just kind of collapse under its own weight. That's reality for this Magic team. That's just the reality of what the Magic are dealing with and what the hand that the Magic have been dealt and the shortcomings of this team. The Magic are about to induct Dwight Howard into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame on Monday. The Magic have not had an offense outside the bottom 10 in the league since Dwight Howard was wearing a Magic uniform way back in 2012. It's been 13 years since the Magic had an average offense, let alone a good offense, an average offense, or even a slightly below average offense. We have not seen points in Orlando in a very, very long time. And so when we see minor improvements, they feel very big. And frankly, I don't know if we could call what we've seen over the last month, throughout March especially. I don't know if we can call what we've seen like good. But look, the Magic aren't the worst three-point shooting team in March. They're 18th, 35.6%. We will take that. The Magic aren't the worst offensive team in the month of March. In March, and again, it's relatively small sample. In March, 10 games, Magic are 4-6. The Magic have a 112.8 offensive rating. That's 22nd in the league. Now the defense has slipped. It's 112. It's a 112 defensive rating. That's 9th in the league. So that tells you that 9th and 22nd would make you 500. The Magic are still piecing a lot of things together. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Magic's offense is humming along at some crazy good pace. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Magic's offense is fixed, all is resolved, and that the Magic can move forward. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Magic should even take what we're seeing as gospel and just assume that it's all going to be like this forever. I am not telling you that. The Magic have to spend time addressing the Magic have to spend time this summer meaningfully addressing their offense. And I mean meaningfully addressing it. Like, it can't be this bad anymore. Like the Magic are going to have to sacrifice some defense to be better on offense. But that's an off-season concern. I am very determined to say, let's leave the offseason for the offseason. What can the Magic do to make the most of the group that they have? Because that's all we got. Better or worse, probably worse. This is the group that the Magic have. How do the Magic make the most of this? And what can that teach us as we begin to think about the offseason and what the Magic need to do to get better? And so, March doesn't feel that bad. March doesn't feel like we should completely ignore it, or that we shouldn't find lessons in a season of frustration to say this can improve. One area where the Magic have greatly improved, one area where the Magic have started to change is with their pace. That was something that Jamal Mosley credited as a big reason why it feels like the offense is starting to pick up some pace, pick up some steam, and starting to look a little bit better. The reason why the Magic are starting to score some more points. For the season, Orlando is still 29th in the league in pace, 96.7 possessions per 48 minutes. They're going to play slow. Paolo Banchero, for all the things that we love about him, he prefers a slower style. You take the pace and the identity of your top player. Paolo's going to stop the ball occasionally. That's just kind of how it is. On top of playing at a slow pace, the Magic are second in the league with 9.7 field goal attempts per game in the last 4 seconds of the shot clock. They make only 33.1% of these shots. So like every other stat, not only do the Magic get kind of low-quality shots, they're missing low-quality shots. They're missing these shots. The Magic has struggled to find a way to create even easy shot opportunities. They're a team that creates a lot of turnovers, but are still only 23rd in the league in fast break points with 13.8 per game. Some of that, again, about pace and how few possessions they play with, but this is how they move forward. Since the All-Star break, Magic's raw pace number hasn't picked up, 96.9 possessions per 48 minutes, but the team is shooting a little bit better later in the shot clock, 42.3% on 10.1 field goal attempts per game in the last 4 seconds. So again, more of these shots, and you still see the team playing a little bit slower, but the Magic are making an emphasis, making a point to get out and transition a little bit more. 14.7 fast break points per game, 16th in the league since the All-Star break. The Magic's 28th rated offensive rating of 108.1, their 28th overall, has jumped to 111.2 per 100 possessions since the All-Star break. 21st in the league. Again, modest jump. It's something. And it does suggest that playing at a faster pace, playing a little bit more organized does help. Now, look, part of this is also Paolo Banchero is playing out of his mind, averaging 29 points per game, the second leading scorer in the league since the All-Star break, shooting efficiently, shooting threes efficiently. The Magic in March have 5 players shooting better than 40% from three. Things are trending in a better direction. I won't say they're good, but they're trending in a better direction. And even something as small as inserting Corey Joseph into the starting lineup has proven, at least a proof of concept, that a veteran organizer would help this team significantly. Now, again, the Magic starting lineup with Jalen Suggs and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, not terrible. Offensively, it is terrible, but defensively, it's so good it doesn't matter. The starting lineup with Corey Joseph in is great. The team has a pace of 98.3 possessions per 48 minutes with Joseph in the lineup. In any lineup. More than that, the team has a team best 122.1 offensive rating with Joseph on the floor. That starting group with Corey Joseph as the starting point guard has a 120.6 offensive rating and a plus 18.1 net rating. They have played not as many minutes as a lot of starting lineups, but they've played a significant amount now over the course of the last few weeks, that there is something there. There is a there. The Magic are clicking in small ways. Clicking in ways that if the Magic could get their defense back to the elite level, which the Magic are not playing defense at an elite level right now, and that's been as big of a concern as anything else. If the Magic can get their defense back to an elite level, like they played against the Cavs last week, maybe there is something to build on. Maybe there is something the Magic can count on moving forward. With the way the Magic have shot for most of the season, if the Magic weren't playing better offensively, they would have lost Friday against Washington. Giving up 17 threes, giving up the kind of three-point shooting they gave up early in that game, that is a recipe for disaster on most nights for this Magic team. But Orlando was able to answer. They made 17 threes. They got out in transition. They defended everything else well, and Washington didn't have answers. They were able to put the foot down because their offense carried its weight. If anything, the last month, the last 10 games have shown us that what the Magic could look like with a competent offense. And it's still pretty good, especially if the Magic can get their defense back in shape. The Magic are going to need offense. They're going to need to be able to score. They're going to need to be able to find different ways to win, and that's ultimately the struggle. That's ultimately where the Magic have fallen short this year. They have one way to win and one way to score. Finding multiple ways is going to be the way to change things around. In small ways, it already has. It's just whether the Magic are able to maintain that and keep that going moving forward. There have been a lot of questions about this Magic team. The one question that I get a lot and the one question I don't have a good answer for, what happened to Jonathan Isaac? Let's talk about his season and his frustrations coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, and now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And for my married couples out there, it's easy to track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Jonathan Isaac had a milestone Friday, and it wasn't one that I even realized or thought about until David Steele brought it up on the FanDuel Sports Network broadcast on Friday. Jonathan Isaac played a game at Capital One Arena for the first time since he suffered the lateral corner injury on January 1st, 2020. This is not the ACL. This is not the hamstring. This is the original knee injury that knocked him out of the lineup January 1st, 2020. Isaac would not return again until the bubble. And in two games into the seeding round games in the bubble, Isaac had torn his ACL and had begun the long 3-year odyssey to get back onto the floor. This is something to celebrate because the Magic didn't get back to Washington until late in the season. And it's a neat milestone to say because Isaac has essentially made it now through 2 fully healthy seasons as I knock on my desk, which is made of wood. We should be celebrating the kind of season that Jonathan Isaac has had after everything he's gone through and everything that's been done and everything he's had to work through to get back to this moment. Just getting to the end of the season still feels like an accomplishment. But the thing is, Jonathan Isaac did not enter the game until the fourth quarter. Not until the Magic were already up by 30-plus points. And he played only 6.5 minutes, giving way to the young players, to the deep bench players to finish the game in a 120-105 victory. It marked the second straight game that Jonathan Isaac was essentially out of the rotation. And more now, it feels like Jamal Mosley is deciding when and how to play Jonathan Isaac based on matchups and based on kind of a gut feel rather than having Isaac fully in the rotation. Jonathan Isaac was supposed to be the secret weapon. The guy the Magic could put in at any moment, at any time, and just wreck a game. Just wreck the opponent's day. And look, Isaac has not completely fallen off on defense. He has not completely gone off the rails. He is still making an impact, even against the Rockets. And the plan against the Rockets was to use Isaac in those double big lineups when the Rockets put Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun in. He defended Alperen Sengun, holding him scoreless on 2 field goal attempts when they were matched up together, according to NBA.com's matchup data. Forced a turnover, and the Magic had a 105.3 defensive rating in Isaac's 8 minutes in that game. Team had a 120.8 defensive rating for the game. Goga Bitadze had 19 points and 8 rebounds and matches up better with Steven Adams. So that part made sense, but it was hard to reckon because Isaac played well. Isaac has been playing well. For the season, the Magic have a 107.3 defensive rating with Isaac on the floor. They're still doing good things, but the difference is it's not otherworldly. Last year, the Magic had a 102.1 defensive rating with Isaac on the floor. So whatever issues he might have had offensively, A, they were made up for elsewhere, and B, his defense was just overwhelming. This season, Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Corey Joseph, and even Mo Wagner, who admittedly shared the floor a lot with Jonathan Isaac, all have better on-court defensive ratings. And then I would note that all of those players, except for Corey Joseph and Jalen Suggs, play a lot of minutes with Jonathan Isaac. So again, context matters. Let's not pretend otherwise. The difficulty is Jonathan Isaac's defense has taken a step back. It's merely good instead of elite. And because it's just good instead of elite, Jonathan Isaac's offense has become a problem. He is averaging 5.5 points per game, down from 6.8 per game last year. So scoring is not really the important thing, but he's shooting 40.8% from floor and a career worst 26.6% from three. For a team that is so desperate for offense and offensive weapons, especially since Mo Wagner went out with an injury, a player who Isaac complimented well defensively and whom was complimented well by Wagner on offense, for teams so hungry for offense, Isaac's inability to score consistently, to be an offensive option, to be a corner three threat has been killer. The Magic have essentially had to throw him into the pot of players that they don't know what they're going to get from each night and decide pretty quickly if he's going to be someone they stick with. On top of this, of course, is the Magic have to maximize minutes for Paolo and Franz. They do not function with this current roster when Paolo and Franz are off the floor, when both of them are off the floor, when one of them is off the floor, and they both play the same position as Jonathan Isaac. It has been a difficult season for Jonathan Isaac. There's just no getting around it. It's been something he has admitted to us on several occasions he is trying to figure out, something he has not had a clear answer for. Why is this the case? He is healthy. He's not under a minute restriction, as Jamal Mosley said. There's nothing to believe that Isaac is not capable of being that player. Some of it might truly be it is a multi-year process, or it was a short-term mistake to put on the weight that he put on. At the beginning of the season, we talked about muscle watch. Jonathan Isaac was listed at 20 pounds heavier than he was last year. It was something we talked about with him. It was something that he said he was encouraged to do because he was expecting to play at center more often. And he has played at center a little bit more often, but it has definitely affected his ability, his bounce, his kind of like spur ability, his ability to get around. It's affected his play. There's no doubt about it. And I'm someone who believes that the Magic would not have told him to do something as drastic if it wasn't part of a multi-year plan. I am skeptical the Magic will try to trade him in the offseason. His salary goes from the 25 he's being paid this year back down to 15 next year. There are games played and injury protections on that make his deal non-guaranteed. Should something happen, if the Magic do need to cut bait, I think the Magic still view him as a potential game-changing player. They just had a bad development plan, or they just made the wrong development plan, and maybe that's something that we have to assess and ask about during exit interviews. For now, again, the trick is, how do we make the most of what we have? I would argue just by my eye test. I don't have the numbers or the stats to say, and they're not strong enough anyway to take as gospel. But I would say by the eye test, I believe Isaac has gotten better. I believe that he is closer to the player that he was last year. The shooting may not be there, but he is starting to make defensive plays. And he's had some spurts throughout the course of the season this year where he has looked like that player. They've been short, they've been few and far between, but they have existed. And I would say right now he is playing with that kind of bounce and energy of an elite defensive player. But of course, as much as the Magic need defense and matchups do matter, and maybe the game against the Lakers is a good game to go up against LeBron, go up against their kind of smaller, quicker centers like Jackson Hayes. Maybe this is an opportunity for him. But to be sure, the Magic put a lot of money in Jonathan Isaac. Again, we will assess this summer a lot at the end of the season, and it's not going to look good. Magic may have made some key mistakes and put themselves in a little bit of a corner that's going to cost them a little bit more to get out. They're going to need guys that they believed in, like Jonathan Isaac, like Wendell Carter, to bounce back in a major way. Or even Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to bounce back in a major way, or to know that the right time is to cut bait and find value for them. It's not easy. But Jonathan Isaac is still capable of being the player the Magic imagined. Isaac, I think, is getting closer to it. But everything right now is a roll of the dice. You don't know what player you're getting among all the Magic's bench players. And that is part of the problem. I don't know what happened to Jonathan Isaac. I really don't. I do think the weight gain had an effect. I think it's been something he has struggled to adjust to. It is something that you hope a fully healthy summer of work. I remember Isaac said earlier in the year, the Magic kind of told him to take it easy, not go too crazy with anything. The weight gain was more about durability as much as playing center, being able to play center, but durability to get through the course of the season. He's done that now. Maybe there'll be a little bit more intensity in his offseason workouts to be the player the Magic hoped he can be. They're going to need it. They put a lot of money into him, obviously. They put a lot of time into him, obviously. But this year, it's been a struggle to find him. And it's one of the great mysteries of the season. It's time for our weekly standings check and why this week begins a critical week for the Orlando Magic. We're going to get to why home is where the wins must be coming up here in just a moment. The Orlando Magic had one big goal at the beginning of the season. The big goal, again, maybe it's aiming a little low, but the big goal was to get the 4 seed. The Magic reasoned, if we are the 4 seed, what happened in last year's playoffs can't happen again. They won't be beat. They can't lose. They could get away with not winning on the road and take care of their home court. If they are the 4 seed, they'll have home court advantage. That was a big deal. That was something the Magic talked about a lot. And so essentially, every goal the Magic had for the season rested on this supposition, rested on this one truism. We're going to defend our home court. The Kia Center will be our fortress. Teams will not win at the Kia Center in Orlando. They're going to hate coming to our gym. That was the message. That was kind of the guiding light for the whole season. You don't come into the Kia Center and beat the Orlando Magic. And when the Orlando Magic started a franchise best 10-0 at home, It sure felt like that's how things were going to be. Fast forward to now, the Orlando Magic are 18-17 at home. Just a game above 500. They had a 1-6 homestand during a critical time right after the All-Star break. They have only three more games. 3 of their final 6 home games are against teams with records below 500 or at 500 or below, because I'm going to count the Sacramento Kings. The Magic now find themselves struggling to stay afloat at home. Why are the Magic where they are in the standings? Injuries, offense, and the inability to win at the Kia Center. If there is one area where the Magic still have an advantage over the Atlanta Hawks schedule-wise, it's here. It's with their home court advantage. 6 of the Magic's final 11 games are at the Kia Center. For the Hawks, I believe that is 4 home games to 7 road games for them. They're about to start a 3-game road trip that takes them to Houston, Miami, and one other team that I'm not remembering clearly at this point. The Hawks also have a 2-game road trip or another 3-game road trip right before their final home game against the Orlando Magic. If the Magic are going to catch the Hawks, and the Magic are now 2 games behind Atlanta after Atlanta defeated the Philadelphia 76ers on Sunday, if the Magic are going to catch the Hawks, they're going to have to do it at home. They're going to have to be able to take care of their home games. To be clear, let's just make this simple. This is a race to 40. Whichever team between Atlanta and Orlando gets to 40 wins is going to win the 7th seed and win the Southeast Division. That's the truth of it. That's the plain, simple fact truth of things. The Hawks only have to go 5-6 to get to 500, to get to 40 wins. Orlando has to go 7-4. If the Magic are going to go 7-4, Atlanta plays more teams under 500 than Orlando the rest of the way. If Orlando is going to get to 7-4, they're going to have to take care of business against some teams that they're not expected to beat. And if they're going to do that, that's going to have to happen at home at the Kia Center. It could be the Lakers on Monday. It could be the Kings on Saturday. It could be the Mavericks on Thursday. It could be next Monday's game against the LA Clippers. It could be against the Boston Celtics or the Atlanta Hawks. It probably has to be against the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta comes first, then Boston to close the home schedule in April. They better beat Atlanta. They got 5 days to prepare for that game. They got 5 days. They got 4 days off between games. They better win that game. If the Magic are going to do the job, they've got to make the Kia Center their fortress again. And the fact of the matter is, it just hasn't been. Since the All-Star break, the Orlando Magic's defense has kind of fallen to shambles at home. The Magic only have a +1 net rating at home. So them being 18-17, the numbers track that. Their Moribund shooting has left them with a 109.2 offensive rating at home. You're supposed to shoot better at home. Since the All-Star break, the Magic have a -5.9 net rating with a 115.9 defensive rating. That is with some notable losses. Again, smaller sample size, but notable losses. The 40-point loss to the Cavs, 56-point game from Stephen Curry, and Wednesday's loss to the Rockets. The Magic have not played with the intensity and focus they need to at home. And if the Magic are going to get the 7 seed, if the Magic are going to pick up steam, if the Magic are going to play their best basketball at the end of the season like they want to, then for the next 5 games at the Kia Center, it's got to be this week. They got to start laying that foundation this week. Now, I want to give them this credit, as small as it is. They've been 500 over the last 8 games. They're 4-4 over their last 8 games. They're exchanging wins and losses. And yes, if Orlando is going to be that team, they got to start stacking wins. Atlanta's already done it. Atlanta's 7-3 in their last 10. If Orlando wants to catch them, they're going to have to stack some wins. Win Monday, that's a 2-game win streak. Win Tuesday in Charlotte, which you should win even on the back-to-back, that's a 3-game win streak. You might get Dallas with Anthony Davis, win that, that's a 4-game win streak. It's going to get real easy to start building confidence and stacking some wins. And even with how well Atlanta's playing, you go on a 5-game win streak, you'll catch them before you have that big face-off at the end of April. Do you give yourself a little bit of a cushion? Again, the cushion's gone for the Magic. The margin for error is gone. You take care of your home games, you'll catch Atlanta. You'll at least give yourself a play into the play-in in Atlanta at the end of the season. The Magic's road games are manageable, by the way. At Charlotte on Tuesday. They'll go to San Antonio on the second night of a back-to-back, April 1st. At Washington, April 3rd. Then they get those 4 days off before they close their home schedule against Atlanta and Boston. That's a back-to-back. Then at Indiana, at Atlanta to close the season. Again, we're not very far here. Very, very close to the end of the season. The Magic will be able to make up games on the road. The question is, are they going to take care of their business at home? If fighting for home court advantage is something that still matters, they're going to have to fight for it at home. They're going to have to fight for it at the Kia Center because all the games that we're wondering whether the Magic can win, the Lakers game, the Dallas game, the Sacramento game, the Clippers game, the Hawks game, all those that feel like 50-50 or let's just be generous, 40-60, all of these games that feel a little bit more like coin flips, except for that finale against Atlanta, they're coming at home. That's what you want. That's what you should want. So are the Magic going to take advantage of it? Are the Magic going to get the job done? That's been the question for the Magic for the last 2 months, is whether they will actually live up to their potential and get the job done. If the Magic want the 7 seed, they'll earn it on the Kia Center floor. And if they're able to earn it on the Kia Center floor, that means they get 2 cracks at making the playoffs on their home floor again. Do the Magic want that? Because they'll have the chance to earn it and get that reward. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the filming podcasts to your podcast stable. You can find me on Blue Sky as well at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube at Locked On Magic, as well as follow us on Instagram at Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Don't forget to check out the Locked On Magic Daily newsletter. It's the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the Orlando Magic's game against the Los Angeles Lakers. And I may save Dwight Howard stuff for later in the week, but we may talk Dwight Howard as well. Until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.